So, good morning, everybody. My name is Sigrid Kleine. First of all, Ada and team, many thanks for the invitation and the organization of this event. So, when I made the presentation, I must say, especially the time beam, I realized how long I'm already in this business. But later more. First of all, I want to tell you something very briefly about SPGPrints. SPGPrints, formerly known as Stork, was founded in 1947, and Stork was a group. So they produced machinery starting from chicken slaughtering lines up to aerospace. Yeah, really. And one part of it was textile. So Stork Prints had a special textile division. And I remember the very first company where I started my textile career was more or less fully equipped with stock material, starting from color kitchens, about rotary screen printing machines, up to coating units, everything. Nowadays, the situation changed. But nevertheless, we were primarily active in textile and consumables and equipment. We have 10 worldwide operating companies and worldwide more than 1,100 full-time employees. We are a globally recognized brand, still leading in rotary screen printing, and on top, we are the first mover regarding digital printing. Where we are, so what I said, 10 operating companies, our headquarter and also manufacturing of inks and screens is in the Netherlands. In Austria, we are constructing our digital printing machinery equipment. In Brazil, we are producing also screens. In India, we are constructing the rotary screen printing machines, and in China, we are making screens and recently also inks. On top, we have distribution footprint in 130 countries. We have several different daughter companies, and we're working together with a lot of agencies. Technology and market overview, so just looking for textile. We have the conventional part, rotary screen printing machines and screens, and we have the digital part, digital printer and inks. Our main products are a bit more in focus, so digital inks. We produce ourselves and we develop the recipes and everything in the Netherlands. We have all the 5 main dye groups which are available for inkjet, because not all dye groups which are available for conventional printing are available for digital printing. There are several reasons for it, but like costs and suitability. But the top one is reactive, followed by acid, pigment, sublimation, disperse, and did I mention sublimation? So reactive, acid, pigment, sublimation, and disperse. We have all of them. We develop them and we make them in the Netherlands, and reactive we're also producing in China nowadays. As we are talking about the digital printing, in Austria we are constructing different type of digital printing machines. We are not making print heads by our own. We did it in the past, but we had to recognize that Japan is leading in making print heads. So we stopped with this very expensive business. We are using print heads from Epson, from Kyocera, and from Fujifilm. These are nowadays the most important one. Of course, you have Ricoh, you have Seiko, but nevertheless, we are using these top 3 players. Rotary screen, of course, several different types for special screens, standard screens, name it. We have all of them. We invented them. We had a patent on screens. We are making also the rotary screen printing machines, and of course the machinery to engrave the screens, the digital laser. Textile printing, now still the global market leader in rotary printing, and we are one of the top 3 players in digital. Textile printing is still growing, with a bit less than 1.5% per year. Digital printing, however, is still a niche. When you look at it, you have 4% in total, but when you look only at digital, then it's growing for more than 50% per year. Digital printing is gaining market share, and there is a lot of invention the last year and the last years. It's easy to use, it's really easy to install, and especially companies like Sitema who are making small after and pre-treatment machinery enables customers to produce on small, relatively small food space. So printing companies are looking for reliable partners. So yeah, and we at SPG, we are reliable. Now, this is the time beam, what I'm talking about. So the company was established in 47, and in 53, they started with textile. In 63, they promoted the very first rotary screen printing machine on the ITMA. ITMA is an abbreviation of the German word Internationale Textilmaschinenausstellung, which means International Textile Machinery Exhibition. So only the A is an E when translated to English. So on the very first exhibition, and the ITMA, it's an exhibition which takes place on a 4-year base. Still the top exhibition when you see what is going on in textile machinery. Really all kind of textile machinery is exhibited there. So also Stork went there to show the first rotary screen printing machine with their patented screens. This was in 63. Yeah, but already in 87, Stork was thinking about that digital printing could be an alternative. So they had the conventional part, and they were really leading in it, still they are, but nevertheless they were looking for alternatives. So in 87, they set up the company Stork Excel. It was a company doing nothing else but looking into digital solutions. And in 91, so only 4 years later, again on the ITMA, they presented the first digital printing machine. It was such like this. It was also not roll-to-roll. You had to cut pieces of fabric and stick it on a rotating cylinder, and then it was printed. Amazing printing results, amazing print quality, but yeah, only pieces. So what will you do with pieces? But this was the feasibility. So they showed that it was possible to print amazing digital prints. But okay, so then this was possible. How it went on. In 99, by the way, this was the year when I entered the company. In 99, and this was also my first project, the first roll-to-roll printer. At that time, Stork had a cooperation with the Japanese company Mimaki. Mimaki built the printing machines using Epson print heads, and we made the inks. So my very first printer was an amber, 6 colors, and it had the speed of 1 square meter per hour. Yeah, it was great, but very slow. So, and you can imagine that at that time we already started our ink production and we wanted to sell ink. But having a printer with 1 square meter per hour, ink sales was not that successful. However, the prices were great. So we sold the ink in 220 milliliter pouches, and for several hundred gulden at that time. So it was really expensive. But yeah, the market was slow, very, very slow. And what you then also saw is that the acceptance of digital print, forget it. Textile industry was and is a very traditional industry. And everyone was very reluctant to test something new. Oh no, new digital, nothing. But okay, so we had this vision of digital printing. And so in 2002, we started together with an Asian company in Thailand, our joint venture. This company, a vertical company, so they made everything by themselves. They started with knitting the fabric and printing and dyeing, whatever, you name it. We set up a digital printing company. At that time, they already worked for Victoria's Secret and for Nike and other sport brands. And there we set up a digital printing company to show the rest of the world that it is possible to have a production with digitally printed fabric. And we succeeded. So it was really also a great experience. I was also a member of the team setting up the fabric in Thailand. Yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm happy that I was able to join it. But nevertheless, the invention went on. In 2004, the second generation of roll-to-roll printer with a bit higher speed came up. At that time, we already achieved a speed of, with the optimized software and everything, 47 meter per hour. Still square meter, but okay. Nevertheless, it became faster and faster. But then the real game changer for the whole digital printing industry, not only for Stork, but only for everybody, was the introduction of the debut of the Kyocera KJ4 printhead, the very first industrial printhead. Epson heads were leading before that time. Epson heads were really great, no doubt about it, but they are not made for industrial printing. The speed, what I said, the speed was very limited. But the Kyocera printing head offered totally new horizons. So, and then a lot of companies started creating textile printer with Kyocera heads. At that time we didn't, but we started making inks on large production scale. And it grew, and therefore we could, in 2017, we extended our ink production in the Netherlands, and we produced much more inks. So what you saw is that regarding the ink business, the introduction of the Kyocera printhead, everything changed. So it became mass production. Regarding the digital printing machines, we were following a different path. Yes, we also had a printer with Kyocera printheads, but we were looking forward, and we chose a different way. We went for Fujifilm Samba printheads, and there we applied our own technology of Archer and Archer Plus. Archer means normally when you print digital, you must imagine that you have the fabric, you have the printhead, and the distance must be as low as possible. Because when printing digitally, what are you doing? Very, very small drops are coming out of the printhead, and they fly onto the fabric. If the distance is too high, drops can go everywhere, but won't reach the fabric. So we created with our software this Archer thing, and then we could even print from a higher distance. Yeah, later on, Archer Plus, but I think I talk too much now, and yeah, there are still some slides coming. So first I will go on. But nevertheless, so in the year 19, we had our Archer Plus technology, which means a big step regarding sustainability, which avoided a lot of cleaning. After that time, we are still busy with innovation, but as you can see, it always takes some time before you come up with the next milestone. Milestones are not generated within 1 year. So it takes time, more invention, and also you have to see, yeah, what is the path forward, what is now new. But first, one step back. Rotary screen printing. I think everybody of you knew that rotary screen printing, you have a mesh, you have a squeegee inside per color, one cylinder is needed, and the color is pressed through the cylinder on the fabric. Commonly used for apparel and interior fabrics, and it's very economical for large runs. Why? Because you have, per color, you need one screen. One screen's the cost, let me say between 600, 800 euro, maybe some screens are also a bit more expensive. And if you want to print an 8-color design, you need 8 screens, which means more or less 6,000 to 7,000, 8,000 euro. And these setup costs for color separation, screen engraving, and distributing, you need many, many meters. And digital printing, you have the same cost, from the very first centimeter up to 1,000 meters. It's always the same. Inkjet printing, there you can divide between scanning and single-pass printing. Single-pass printing is the most fastest way of printing. We had the Pike, so it is printing machine which has the look of a rotary screen printing machine, but the high-tech technology of digital printing inside. So with single pass printing, the fabric is moving on a belt, and the fabric is moving and the printheads are stable, and the fabric is passing the printheads and jets are dropped and the image came up. Compared with the scan printing and scanning, you have the printheads which are going from the left to the right and vice versa and dropping the ink on the fabric. Scan printing is the most popular way of digital printing. Why? First of all, a scanning printer is much more cheaper than a single pass printer. Secondly, you are much more flexible because most of the customers, they choose for several scanning printing devices, and if they have problems with the one, then they take the other one. They can easily switch the colors. And the third and very, very important thing is when you decide to buy a single pass printer, you need lots of order, really, really lots of order, because you want to use your single pass printer night and day, 24/7. And at that time, there are only a few customers having really these huge amounts of fabric. So therefore, scanning machines are the most popular one. Now, a short introduction to printheads. More or less, we have 4 different types of printheads. However, I will only talk about the most popular 3 of them. The 4th one, thermal printheads. They are mostly used for desktop printers at home, but they are rarely or not, not used in textile. No. For textile, the most popular one is piezo. Then you have continuous ink flow, and then a combination of the two of these two. The 3rd generation of printheads, the through-flow printheads. Piezo. How this animation shows, you have a piezo crystal which is pressing the ink in the chamber, and on this way the ink is coming out of the nozzle. This type of printhead is used for end shooter. It's very popular. Piezo printheads are used always and everywhere. Kyocera, the most popular KG4, what I told you about, is such a piezo Epson. It's a very robust and very good printhead. The next one is the continuous flow inkjet. Very sophisticated, very nice. Also, a Stork tried. One of our first printers was equipped with continuous flow inkjet, but let me see, the movie is working. It's not a stock movie. I took it from YouTube. It's from another company, but it shows quite good the principle of the continuous flow inkjet. You have a continuous, as the name says, continuous ink flow, and then also some drops are coming onto the fabric, and the rest of the ink is recirculating. So no waste of ink. So you have recirculated ink, and you have ink which comes to the fabric. So there are a lot of plus points for the continuous flow inkjet, but nevertheless, the disadvantages are they are quite expensive, and they are also error prone. So you see them, but not that often. Okay, let's wait until the video is finished. Yeah, no, this is now the end. And then you have the 3rd one, the through-flow printheads, which is a combination of a continuous flow inkjet and drop-on-demand technology. Unfortunately, I could not get the video working, so I only have a picture. But the picture shows what it is about. You have an ink flow in the chamber, and piezo crystals are pressing out the ink out of the nozzles. So the circulation cleans the nozzle plate, and you can avoid nozzle clogging. And this principle of this is used in the Fuji Samba printhead, which we are using in our printers like the Magnolia and the Pike. And with this printhead, we also could realize the special features like Archer Plus and Archer technology. When I look now back, challenges so far, and now again the time beam and which challenges we had, then we can say first we had the feasibility, then we had the acceptance, we had the speed, accuracy, sustainability, and now pricing. We can say that all of the milestones mentioned in the time bar are representing a success over the challenges. Challenges in the past. First of all, the feasibility. Digital printing. Oh, how are you going to do this? Is it workable? How is it doable? And what about user friendliness? I can tell you the second, but also the very first. The first printer were not really user friendly, much too complicated. So, but it worked. The principle worked. From a technology point of view, great. But yeah, too many buts. The acceptance, what I mentioned before, the textile market and the textile industry, very traditional, very suspicious to new technologies, especially digital. Yeah, it took some time. It took really some time to convince customers that digital printing is also much more than just sampling. And especially with sampling, you face the problem that digital printed samples showed a much better quality than printed with rotary screen printing. So we had to adjust, or we had to develop a special software to make the quality of the digital prints a bit worse, to bring in line with the screen printing. So acceptance was really a huge hurdle. The next one was the speed. As said before, Epson printheads, 1 meter per hour, 47 printheads per hour. This is nothing. Nothing when you compare it with the rotary screen printing. Accuracy, that you are able to print very precise and also on a bit higher distance. Because what you also see is textile is no paper. In textile, it's hairy, it's fluffy, you have weaving knots, you have some unevenness in the fabric. And all of the time it is said that digital, the distance must be as low as possible. And then we talk about 1.5 millimeter or maximum 2 millimeters, so to achieve a good image quality and to avoid ink mist. But yeah, with some special technologies, it is also possible to print from 4 millimeter distance. These were challenges we overcome in the past. Challenges today. Sustainability. Sustainability, the nature of digital, of course, is much more sustainable than the nature of rotary screen printing. So yeah, this is already one path forward. And with our Archer Plus technology, we reduce the ink consumption, at least with our own machinery. And then regarding sustainability, we also have certified inks. Nowadays, everybody requires certified inks, especially when they come from Europe and for European customers. Pricing, one very big issue. So during the last 5 years, what we see is that, especially from China, a big competition comes up regarding machinery, but also pricing of inks, also a challenge. And limitation in general for the digital printing technology, because not all application can be done digitally. Sustainability, I think I keep it short because most of you already know it. So we have the greenhouse gas emission, you have the chemical pollution and everything. Everybody knows that textile industry is creating the large volume of waste textiles, but also waste water. And there is a really strange contradiction that on the one hand, what you hear in the media is always you should avoid wastewater and waste, and there are a lot of actions going around. And on the other hand, you see that fast fashion, and then fast fashion in the worst meaning, is rising. So people are buying very cheap clothes, wearing it 2-3 times, throwing it away. Contradiction. So consumer awareness. Consumer awareness must be there and must go on. So really to reach everybody that this is the wrong way, that everybody can do something. Industry collaboration is also very important, that not everybody is doing something, but let's try doing it together. So why not working together with companies who are working in fiber recycling, something like that, global goals. So the textile industry in general must align with global climate goals. Now, sustainability is also part of our DNA at SPG, now SPG. So we take care that our screens have the longest possible lifetime. We have also special screens to save printing paste. Don't forget our inks with a very high dye concentration, high density inks that you don't have to print too much ink on the fabric. And again, our inks are all certified. And but also in-house, our production is the most sustainable, is done in the most sustainable way. We are certified by ZTHC and Eco-Tex. So for inks, you cannot get an Eco-Tex certificate, you can only get an Eco-Passport, but everything is certified, and we have also water treatments in-house, 2 different ones for all our production units. Now, looking in the future, so in the end, from regarding sustainability from the chemical point of view. So what you see is that today's certification, Eco-Passport, ZTHC, GOTS are standard for European inks. Customers are requiring it. Some years ago, it was still, oh, somebody's asking for a certificate. Now you have to show it, you have to have it. And then pigment inks. Yeah, since I'm at SPGPrints, this is now the 4th wave of pigment inks. By this time, pigment inks are here to stay. And in the very beginning, the early 3 waves, they were really nothing. So in the beginning, there were feasibility problems, head clogging, dry out of the print heads. You had to maintain your printer in an absolutely fantastic way, climatic room, doing everything to keep it working. It was awful and not sellable. Pigment inks were also very expensive. Pigment inks in conventional printing is the most cheapest application you can imagine. And exactly the different thing was it with digital printing. Pigment inks, because when you look at the inks, the construction of the ink is very complex. So the inks were very expensive. But now, 4th wave, and I'm pretty sure that pigment inks now, yeah, they will be successful. And also since 2019, there is an enormous technology push. What you see today is that industry is pushing pigment inks. Sublimation inks were already pushed. Sublimation inks are also from the energy and wastewater saving point of view good. But in pigment inks, you also don't have any paper. And customers are still reluctant because there are still some doubts. Pigment, color depth, yeah, you cannot compare pigment with reactive. These are 2 pairs of shoes. But pigment, they are perfect for home decoration, for all stuffs hanging close to the window. So pigment inks are very good. And therefore, they have their right to stay. But what do we else need? We need a better fixation to ensure less energy and water consumption. And alternative dyes. So what about natural dye groups, something like that? And there are also companies already working on it. This is not, it is fact. And now regarding the application, this is also one screen from our company presentation. All these things you are seeing here, our company's stock is working on. And only a very few are done digitally, and the rest is done with screen, called industry then. Why? This sheet should tell you why. Rotary screen, there you have the diameter of the holes where the printing paste can come out. And on the other hand, you see the diameter of the nozzle holes. And there is a huge difference. So digital prints and digital print heads have very, very tiny and small holes, only very tiny microns, compared with rotary screen. There is no chance to get any metal ink or specialty ink through the print heads today. So Looking to the future from the application point of view, we can summarize. Digital printing is based on 3 pillars: printhead, chemistry, and software. The printhead form the foundation. With the help of chemistry and software, best results can be achieved. However, and don't forget, the printheads also set the technical limits. You cannot, from the technical point of view, you cannot solve all problems with chemistry. The printheads, they have to start. And with a new generation of printheads, which have a wider range of applications than printing normal inks, so when I talk about normal inks, I'm talking about the viscosity from, let me say, 4.5 centipoise up to 12 centipoise. And with printing paste, we have 30, 40, 50, 60 centipoise. So it's also a totally different world. So with a new generation of printheads, then this will be possible. And what will happen then? The cycle will start over again. First of all, feasibility, followed by acceptance, speed, and in the end, pricing. Yes. And this was my speech. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions?
No. It looks everything was clear.
Then I have one question.
Yes.
You mentioned recipes and not also mentioned recipes. Are recipes IP, or do you share them with your clients, or how?
In the beginning, all recipes were IP. So with all recipes, and then I mean pre-treatment, after-treatment, every company made the mystery out of it. But after a short time, it became obvious that the pre-treatment and the after-treatment of reactive and acid were the same as for conventional printing. So, and nowadays you get recipes for pre-treatment, after-treatment, you get them free. You get them for free, you can look on the internet. Mm-hmm. Companies can give you advice. Now the only thing is how to make them more sustainable. I know that there are companies working on urea-free pre-treatments, because pre-treatments, there is one thing inside the pre-treatment which is not good for your water and for the environment, and this is urea. So nobody wants to use urea, but you need it for a better fixation. But there are companies working on urea-free recipes. But coming back to your question, ink recipes, they are IP, but pre-treatment, after-treatment, they are common knowledge and you can get them. Yeah.
Thank you. Now questions? No.
Okay. Thank you.